Hello YouTubers, I'm Water Chap and this is the Budget Bass Fishing Channel. Welcome to the Bass Cave. You're in an actual cave under my house. We have a dirt floor, we have a few cinder block walls, and we have reclaimed cabinets all around and lots of bass fishing gear. And today we're going to talk about, should you buy a boat? Now, I want to say, if you're listening to this and if you've come to this video and asking yourself, you know, should I buy a boat? And you are somebody with so much disposable income that you can just buy something expensive, try it out, figure out if you like it, and then it really doesn't matter what you do with it, this is not the video for you. I see your boats all the time when I'm fishing. I go by very expensive docks. I see boats that get absolutely no use, many of which are worth more than my house, and if you have that disposable income, that's great. You can spend it on that. Matter of fact, you know, there's somebody owning that company to build the boat. There's somebody who's working in the factory to make the boat. You know, somebody build a marina. That's great. That's great. I mean, you've put a lot of people in work, and you may not get a lot of use out of the boat. But I'm talking about if for you, you really want to know if you should buy a boat, you want to know whether, you know, can I afford a boat? You're wondering, you don't want to buy something that's just going to sit there and be unused. You'd feel bad about that. You feel like it'd be bad stewardship of resources and those kind of things. Maybe I can help you out. Here are just a few ideas on whether or not you should buy a boat. Okay, first off, I want to tell you, the first question is, how often do you fish? Now, if you're looking at buying a wake surfing boat, turn off the video, that's fine. But if you're looking at buying a boat for fishing, first question you have to ask yourself is, how often do you fish? If the answer is you never fish, but maybe you'll fish if you buy a boat, don't buy the boat. When I bought my boat, I was fishing 2 times a week. I was spending, I mean, just every spare moment at riverbanks, fishing piers, just really rediscovered a love of fishing, and I knew that if I had a boat that I would fish from that boat. And so I got to the point where I said, you know, if I can find something that I can afford, I want to buy a boat and I want to fish. If you are not fishing at least once a month and you want to buy a fishing boat, you probably don't need a fishing boat. It's going to sit in your garage. It's going to sit in your yard. You know, like the guy who owned my boat, it's going to sit in the yard. The dog is going to chew up the trailer wiring, eat up the hydrofoil. The cover is going to end up ripped up, and the carpet is going to rot. Don't do it. But if you are going to fish, if you know that you're going to use it, then you can buy that boat. But the second question is, can you afford it? And you know, boats, I mean, like the rest of you, I've spent time in Bass Pro and been at boat dealerships and see that now some of these boats, they're putting on like 8-year, you know, 8-year payment plans. And I just say, if you're going to do that, which I did not do, if you're going to do that, please sit down and figure out how much interest you're going to pay on that boat, right? Because it's not just the boat you're going to pay for, it's the interest you're going to pay on that boat. And also, look at how much is that boat going to be worth a year after you drive it off the lot. I mean, boats don't lose all their value immediately when you drive them off the lot, but, I mean, know what you're doing. Count the cost before you do it. But you got to ask yourself, can I make this payment? If I have a difficult month, you know, am I still going to be able to make the payment on this boat, or can I just pay cash for this boat? And then after I do that, I have to pay for the maintenance on the boat. Now, if you're buying a brand new boat, maybe, you know, most of the maintenance you're not going to have to pay for a good period of time. But if you don't buy a brand new boat, like I didn't buy a brand new boat, you have to factor in maintenance into that. And so, like for me, I can spend $100 to $200 a month over time maintaining and restoring my boat, because my boat is a restoration project. And so I have to factor that in. Can I afford to spend $100 to $200 a month on maintenance and restoration, plus gas, plus insurance, which is minimal. Boat insurance is not expensive. Can I spend that? The next question is, where am I going to put it? And if you've got a garage and your spouse does not care that you have a boat sitting in there, or if you have a flat piece of property, you can have a carport, that is fantastic. You are ready to go. Many of the people who live where I live, it's very hilly, it's mountainous, and so there is a huge business in people offering storage for things like boats. And by the way, many of these boats never move. Go back to the first rule. It costs where I live, which is cheap, $40 to $80 a month to simply store a boat somewhere in the kind of lock the gate and come in kind of storage. If you're going to put it in a marina and they're going to put it up on a rack and bring it down for you, $300, $400 a month. That is some change. Ask yourself, add that in to the mix. Then you have to ask yourself, what am I going to pull it with? When I bought my boat, that was really the one thing that I didn't think about, and I went out and bought the boat thinking, I could pull this with my wife's car, and after a couple of times pulling it with my wife's SUV, I thought my wife does not want me taking her nice SUV to fishing ramps and those kind of things, and so I actually ended up buying a truck to pull my boat, which has not been a bad thing. But you have to ask yourself also, what am I going to do with the boat? And I think that people sometimes don't think about that. For me, I thought, well, I just want to go fishing. And so I was looking for a John boat, maybe with a 25-horse motor. I could drive it around. I really didn't want to do the tiller steer. I wanted, I wanted an actual steering wheel. That was kind of my only thing. And so as I went in shopping for a boat in the winter, and maybe we'll talk about some of the best ways to buy a boat, but I tell you, buying a boat in the winter is the way to go. I bought this boat in December, right before Christmas. Everybody wants money, from a guy who was desperate to move and had to unload the boat. I don't know what he started at, but I know where we ended. For me, I didn't really understand what I wanted, or maybe what I wanted changed. So I'm looking for a John boat, and I find a bass boat. And I thought the bass boat was a really good deal. I end up buying it. And for me, I was thinking, I just want to go out and fish. That's all I want to do is go out and fish. And so I thought, I'd like to go out and fish with people. And so I looked around and said, well, are there any fishing clubs? And so I found a fishing club, and I really didn't know what a fishing club was. And so, they said, oh, yeah, great, come out and fish with us. I talked to a really nice fellow who's kind of running the club. Yeah, come out and fishing with me. And it turns out it was a tournament club. And they were doing competitive bass fishing, and I loved it. And I had just bought a bass boat, and so that worked. I was able to then do what I wanted to do, but think about what you want to do, which involves doing a lot of the kind of fishing that you want to do, usually in somebody else's boat first, so you can see what it is that you need, right? Because I have a friend who did this. He bought a boat. He thought he knew what he wanted. He didn't know what he wanted. He sold the boat, bought another one. He didn't lose money on the deal, but it is buy the boat that you actually want to get. You have to ask yourself, what do I want to do with it? And then the final question to ask yourself, and it's really not whether you should buy a boat, it's whether you're ready to buy a boat. Do you know how to operate a boat? Please, for all of our sakes, do not buy a boat, drop it in the water, and then figure out how to operate it. Get online and watch an entire course of videos on boat safety, how to operate a boat, and what the laws are concerning a boat. Be an informed boater before you hit the water. And if you've never had anyone show you how to drive a boat, find somebody who knows how to operate a boat, who can teach you how to operate your boat before you get out there and just try to figure it out. For me, I grew up on a lake. I grew up operating boats, and even then, I think I could have used a little more education before I first started getting on the water. It's better now, but let me tell you, we all see people out there who are dangerous and who are uninformed. So don't be that guy, and ask yourself, how often am I fishing? Can I really afford it? Where am I going to keep it? How much is it going to cost to maintain it? What kind of fishing am I going to do with it? And then 6, because I ran out of fingers. Ask yourself, am I actually ready to operate a boat safely? That's how you know whether or not you're ready to buy a boat.